ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of 3, the Premium Deck Series. In 2009, so like 10 years ago, Wizards of the Coast came with the Premium Deck Series. And with Premium, I mean Foil Deck Series. They came out with Graveborn and Slivers and Fire and Lightning. The strongest of them was Graveborn. It's actually this deck. It's a really amazing deck. I bought them for 30 euros, $30 in Denver, Colorado, when I was on holiday there. And these days, this deck goes for, I think, 100 euros, so $120, factory sealed. So if you go to a trading site, you can find them already opened for probably $60, or if you're lucky, even less. It's a mono black deck, and I hear you thinking, wow, mono black, but I see all these kind of different colors. That's correct, because these creature cards are actually meant to put in your graveyard and revive them from the graveyard. That's why it's called Graveborn. This deck is insane. I think even today it's definitely worth $120, or if you can get it cheaper of course, because this is really a powerhouse deck. Many modern decks cannot beat this deck. Same with standard. This deck is too powerful, but this deck is not modern legal. In matter of fact, it's a legacy, because most of the cards, or a lot of the cards, are printed before the 9th edition. And if you're gonna take this to a tournament, legacy tournament, it might be too weak, but if you're gonna take this to your with you to the local game store, you're gonna give a lot of player headache, because this deck is really insane. I promise you that. Even if you're gonna take this deck with you to a legacy tournament, I'm sure you will win some matches for sure. Although if they're gonna come with some grave hate, like for example Gravedigger's Cage or Rest in Peace or Leyline of the Void, this deck will be shut down for like 75%, so keep that in mind. But nevertheless, a really amazing card of a deck. For example, you see all this creature, big fatties out here, the Terra Stodon, the Crossit the Purger, Blazing Archon, Inkwell Leviathan, yeah, Sphinx of the Steel Wind, and Verdant Force. Multicolored creature cards with at least mana cost 5 or 6 at least, but you'll be able to cast this if you're lucky in turn 2, and turn 4 is not an exception. So if you get, for example, the Inkwell Leviathan out at turn 2, it got Island Walk, Trample, Shroud. You're settled already very fine for the upcoming match. How it's gonna do that, I'm gonna definitely show you. But first I'm gonna show you the cards that actually are meant to get in your graveyard and get them out ASAP, as soon as possible. The Terra Stodon. It is a 2 green, 6 colorless creature elephant. When Terra Stodon enters the battlefield, you may destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents for each permanent put into the graveyard. This way, its controllers puts a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield. Could be a really nice trade to get rid of something that your opponent controls, or to get some blockers exchanging for land. The elephant tokens doesn't come with the deck, to be honest. I bought them to pimp the deck out even more, so I've got everything settled. They're not foiled, but they're excluded from the deck anyway. And then we come to the other powerhouse from this deck. The Crossit the Purger. Normally it would cost you 3 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black and 1 red mana. Legendary creature dragon, flying. Whenever Crossit the Purger deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 1 black and 2 colorless. If you do, choose a color, then that player reviews his or her hand and discard all cards of that color. absolutely unfair if you get this out turn 2, and turn 3 you can pay actually via a monocolor deck. Insane, really insane. As well for Blazing Archon, costs usually 2 of 3 white, 6 colorless. Flying, creatures cannot attack you. Absolutely as well unfair vs an aggro deck, for example. 8 whack doesn't really matter. Many decks out there that will be shut down immediately when you get this on the battlefield. Inkwell Leviathan, 7 colorless, 2 blue. Normally you would pay for it. Ice and Walk, Trample, Shroud. 7-11, insane, insane. And then the Swings of the Steel Wind. Artifact creature, swings, flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, protection from red and from green. Amazing card. Normally you cannot cast this, but this mythic you can cast probably in turn 3, 4, and if you're lucky at turn 2. How am I gonna do that? I'll definitely gonna show you, don't worry guys. And then of course, Verdant Force, really nice. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a 1/1 green sap walling creature token onto the battlefield. So every upkeep you can get one for free, a blocker or whatever. Normally it would cost you 3 green mana and 5 colorless. Insane cards as well. Keep in mind, if you want to pimp this deck or you want to build it out, it's quite easy, because you can exchange these creature decks with anything, an Embercool, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But I like to keep this deck complete because it's a really nice deck already. And besides, it's not modern legal or standard legal and legacy, so I think it's fine like this. Okay, like I told you, it's a mono black deck with these cards. So mono black, it costs only black mana. I'm gonna start with the Polluted Mire, comes into play tapped, and it's got cycling. So if you pay 2 colorless, you can actually discard this card and draw another card. Nice if you've got already enough mana. And then we've got the Eben Stronghold, comes into play tapped, produces 1 black mana. If you sacrifice it, tap it, it produces 2 black mana. Really nice if you have got something to get these out fast. Crystal Vein, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, sacrifice Crystal Vein and adds 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. So these two, if you've got this in your opening hand, it's really nice because yeah, you can start directly with some evil, Knievel, handy spells. Beautiful swamps in this deck. I really love the artwork in here. It's really, really nice. Definitely worth all the money. Look at this graveyard, guys. It's really nice. Yeah, it's a premium deck series, so all foil. Really nice. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is really a good way to start your foil collection, buying one of these decks. Yeah, relatively cheap, you've got a nice, awesome deck. Okay, then we come to the first instant and the only instant in this deck, the Entomb. Search your library for a card and put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Amazing card. I mean, like, if you can pay this at the end step of your opponent, you're ready for your upkeep, because next turn you can play anything. So my advice is play it at least before your upkeep in your enemies or in your opponent's turn, and you've got something in your graveyard to answer anything of them. A lot of people actually bought this deck, especially for this card. In the past it was a really expensive card, but thanks to the premium deck series, the card has decreased in value, because suddenly for the MSRP of $30 everybody could pay or could buy this card, because this card was more expensive than the premium deck series at that day. Really nice card. There were even people who bought 4 of these decks only to obtain this card. Like I said, the only instant. So for the rest, we see only sorcery speed cards. Reanimate. Put the target creature card from your graveyard, very important, onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. There we go. Turn 1, turn 2, and we can get any of these creatures out. Of course, you're gonna pay with some life, but if you, for example, know to play this one with lifelink, in 2 turns you've got all your life back. Really insane, guys, really insane. Amazing cool deck, amazingly cool deck. Then we come to another 1-drop Cabal Therapy card. Sorcery, name a non-land card, target player reviews his or her hand and discard all cards with that name. Really handy. This deck doesn't have any sideboard. In your second match, if you have seen, for example, Rest in Peace, Leyline of the Void, or any Grave Hate card, you can name it. Hopefully he's got it in his hand and you can get rid of it. At least you can take a look at his hand, and even more awesome is that we can actually look in their hands with Duress. We've got a 3-of Duress. Target opponent reviews his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discard that card. So again, really nice to get Grave Hate out of the hand fast. Duress, you still see it in standard at the moment and in some budget Monarch decks. So a nice add-on for this deck to get rid of Grave Hate. And then we come to another card, Exhume. Sorcery, 1 black, 1 colorless. Each player puts a creature card from his or her graveyard onto the battlefield. Again, you could play this card in your second turn because it costs only 2 mana. And if you able to manage to get already one of these out, it's really nice because yeah, you can actually get it in the battlefield your second turn. Your opponent can do the same thing, but he's probably not set up as well as you do with that big fatties in the graveyard, so keep that in mind. A really nice card to get your creatures into the battlefield. Then we come to Sickening Dreams. I really love the art of this card, really spooky. 1 black, 1 colorless. As an additional cost to cast Sickening Dreams, discard X card. Sickening Dreams deals X damage to each creature and X player. So actually you can discard, for example, 3 of these creatures and you do 3 damage to each player and creature, and you've got in the graveyard what you wanted. Really nice card to add because it's a discard card, and you can play it as well for just 1 and just get one of those into the graveyard. And then we come to another sorcery. This one is a 3-drop, 1 black, 2 colorless. Discard any number of cards. Target player reviews his or her hand, then you choose a non-land card from it. For each card discarded this way, that player discard those cards. Really nice way to get, again, cards in the graveyard, and as well to get cards out of his hands. Really nice card. 3 mana, definitely worth it. So, and then we come to Buried Alive. Another great sorcery to get your creatures into the graveyard. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Nice way to get one of these creatures, 3 of those creatures into the graveyard. Really nice sorcery. Then we come to Dread Return. It's a sorcery, 2 black, 2 colorless. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It costs 4 mana and you get out a creature card into the battlefield. Really nice card. So really nice card as well to add in this. And then we come to the enchantments. These were already the spells, the sorceries and the instants. We come to Zombie Infestation. It's an enchantment, cost 2, 1 black, 1 colorless. Discard 2 cards. put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. So it's really nice if you want to discard your creature cards to get them in the graveyard, or you've got mana, you can just trade them for a 2/2 zombie. Really nice as well to get rid of your cards. And then we come to another enchantment, a 2/2 Diabolic Servitude. An enchantment: when Diabolic Servitude enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When a creature put onto the battlefield with Diabolic Servitude dies, exile it and return Diabolic Servitude to its owner's hand. When a Diabolic Servitude leaves the battlefield, exile a creature put onto the battlefield with Diabolic Servitude. So basically, if you play this enchantment, you can get this one out of your graveyard, put it into the play. If it dies, I can get this enchantment back to my hand. And if somebody's targeting the enchantment, this card gets actually exiled. So a lot of text, but it's quite easy. Nice card as well, of course, to get for 4 mana and 8 mana costing creature back into the battlefield. It can go cheaper, we can do it cheaper, and we're gonna do that with Animate Dead. 1 black mana, 1 colorless enchant creature card in a graveyard. So it's an aura. When Animated Dead enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in a graveyard and gains enchanted creature put onto the battlefield with Animated Dead. Return enchanted creature card from the battlefield under your control and attach Animated Dead to it. When Animated Dead leaves the battlefield, that creature controller sacrifice it. Enchanted creature get -1, -0. Again, a lot of text, but basically what it does, it's an aura. You put it onto a creature that's in your graveyard and it comes into play and it gets a -1, -0 counter on it. If this enchantment gets targeted, it dies, you need to sacrifice a creature as well. But basically it returns target creature from the graveyard into the battlefield. 3/2, 1 black mana and 1 colorless, so you can actually play this at your second turn. Really nice, another way to get your second turn, an amazing huge creature from your graveyard into the battlefield. And then we come to the creatures. There are actually hard cast creatures in this deck as well. Putrid Imp, for example, 1 black, 1/1. Discard a card, Putrid Imp comes flying into end of turn. So really nice as well. If you play this first turn, you can directly already sacrifice or discard a creature card and you're set up for the next turn. So basically just discard one of those creatures and it's in your graveyard. When there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, Putrid Imp get +1/+1 and cannot block. So when there are more than 7 cards in your graveyard, it actually gets a +1/+1 counter. And then we've got a 3-drop. It's a 2 black, 1 colorless. When Hidden Horrors enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you discard a creature card. So really nice again to discard a creature card and you've got a 4/4. Really nice, guys. Normally you wouldn't want to play a card like that, but in this deck it's just perfect. And then we come to another a creature card. 2 black, 2 colorless. When Faceless Butcher enters the battlefield, exile target creature other than Faceless Butcher. So you need to exile a card. When Faceless Butcher leaves the battlefield, return the exile card onto the battlefield under your control. So basically it's really nice. You can exile a creature, a block, and it comes back. So not that bad. Then we come to another creature. 1 black, 5 colorless, so it's quite expensive. The Twisted Abomination. A zombie mutant. It has got regenerate for 1 black mana. And it has swamp cycling. So actually if you don't have enough mana, you can pay 2 and search for a swamp and put it into in your hand. Late game 5/3, not that impressive to be honest. But what is impressive is discard Avatar of Woe. I would say wow, this is a really amazing card. The art itself is really pretty. It just finished this amazing deck. Avatar of Woe. Creature Cost 2 black, 6 colorless, but as well you can enchant it into the game earlier if you would like. If there are 10 or more creature cards in total in all graveyards, Avatar of Woe costs 6 less to cast, so it's really nice guys. It has Fear. This creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. When it taps destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated, and it's a 6/5. Really nice. You can just tap it and destroy target creature. Really sick card. And that was the Graveborn deck, guys. One of the 3 premium deck series that Wizards of the Coast has produced in 2009. But still, it's a really nice deck. If your opponent doesn't know you're gonna play with it, they're standing against a big surprise. You can challenge any deck, any modern deck with this. So if you've lost from somebody, you can say, oh, there's another deck I would like to try, and then you grab this deck, and I promise you, if it's a modern or a standard deck, there's like an 80% chance you're gonna win. Second match gonna be harder if they're gonna use some Grave Hate, but hey, you've got your revenge. So I hope you like this deck. Like I said again, it's one of my favorite decks. I'm usually playing red, but this is a really fun deck to play with, especially for some regular gameplay. But yet again, this deck is really powerful, and your opponent will get sick of this deck. And when you think it's time to surprise some players, it's definitely worth to get it. And it's easily upgradable. You can put more reanimates in it, or entombs, or change the creatures out. So it's a really nice start for your collection. I hope you like this video. Soon I'll place the other 2 premium deck series. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I see you in the next video, guys.